We all go a little mad sometimes.
Get you.
You are under destiny.
Here's Johnny.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour. It's the place where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. Hello. And today I'm excited because I am joined by a guest, Sean. I'm going to already mispronounce Sean. Sean Rat. So Sean Rat. Sean Abley.
Yes, you got it.
See, guys, this is how we do it here. We are so top notch. I love it.
I feel like I'm on screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna because I'm gonna make you feel better. I'm gonna now try to pronounce your last name, Tamanaha.
And he got it right. See,
Did I get it right?
You did.
I'm reading.
And so today, yes, we are going to talk Asian cinema. We're also going to talk his recent column in the new Fangoria. Which honestly, if you did not get this cover, you are missing out.
If you didn't get that cover, you got this cover. I have it right here. I mean, I don't know, but
I cannot wait for that film. You all, that is like my most anticipated film, The Black Phone.
Black Phone.
Oh my God. Or Black, yes.
Is it The Black Phone? The Black Phone, yeah.
I cannot wait for that. It's so cool. But yes, so we're going to talk about his recent article, and that's going to be super fun, you all, because it's going to be kind of dirty, and I'm really looking forward to that, and I think you guys should too. And then I've just got some really random questions because to get to know our guest a little bit better. I can't get over this, but anyways.
Well, when we get to my article, I can't wait to open up this magazine because Jason, who's the artistic director. What is his actual title before I talk about like saying people's names wrong? Creative director has like created a work of art with these magazines with Fangoria.
So anyways, all right. So let's first start off and talk about our first topic, which is Asian horror and their counterparts here in the States, where
yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this. So I wore this specially for you.
Oh,
this is, I don't know if you can tell, this is the Castello Tagliapietra Scanners t-shirt. They are like top-notch designers. They moved from women's wear to menswear recently-ish. And they have a series of t-shirts. So if you can see closely, it's the exploding head.
Oh my God.
Isn't that awesome?
That's amazing. You're gonna have to link me that.
I'll send you the link. I'm sure they'd love it. They've got all sorts of horror stuff and like pop culture things and
oh my God, I can now I see it like the head actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we're so random here. This is just about to have a fun discussion. But that
can I actually tell you a dumb Hollywood story since we're here? Because
let's do it.
Because it has to do with scanners. And I swear we'll get to Asian horror because I do love it. So I moved here over 20 years ago and I went to a gym, you know, because we're gay and we go to a gym in Los Angeles. And it was this sort of medium upscale gym that like B+ celebrities went to. And Peter Weller went to this gym, RoboCop. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I've been terrible. And then also there was a guy there that I sort of befriended named Daniel O'Quinn, and he was the titular character from Scanner Cop and its sequel, Scanner Top 2, The Showdown. And so, of course, I'm like going like, you know, fanboying all over this guy who's like, really? And one day I'm on the treadmill and in front of me is Peter Weller and next to me is Daniel O'Quinn. And I said to them, wow, this is a great sequel. Scanner Cop versus RoboCop. And you would have thought that I was like threatening to like destroy their careers. Like the reaction they both gave me was like, what? That's one of my proudest moments.
I mean, to be fair, what are they really doing right now? It's a paycheck.
Trust, exactly. I mean,
mean,
they're going to conventions and they're making a lot of money from the fans like me. So
they would eat that. I mean, remember, it wasn't the best, but I still went and saw it, Freddy vs. Jason.
I mean,
I loved it, but
I was really disappointed by that movie. I just thought, because I've been like following, like I think it was literally like 10 years in development, and then the movie opened and I'm like, this is the movie we've been waiting for. Like this is the movie. Like Kelly from Destiny's Child calling Freddy a faggot. Like this is what I've been like sitting like so like waiting for.
That's still such a memeable clip though.
Terrible.
I went into that film with like low expectations. So that's why I think I was pleasantly like, oh, this is fun. It's great. Did I sit here and go, oh my God, everyone go see this? Well, no. Right. But I think I was much younger. I think I was still working at Hollywood Video. I think, yeah. I mean, everyone talks about Blockbuster, but there was another chain, y'all. There were actually 3 popular chains. Thank you very much. But
right, there was Hollywood and Suncoast. At least they had Suncoast out where I am. Suncoast Video was one of them.
And then yes, because Suncoast ended up, I believe, buying Hollywood Video. No, Movie Gallery. I don't know. All I know is that the guy who led Hollywood Video he had the idea for Netflix, but botched it, and so he blew like $100 million, and then the company's like, we're going under. So that was fun. But anyways, so I'm trying to, do I have a Hollywood story? Probably no. Oh, no, I was too scared to say anything, honestly. So I'm in St. Louis, and I used to travel for work, and obviously LAX or like the big hubs. And you would certainly see, and I always was really embarrassed because some people they're like, dude, I'm just trying to get to the next flight, or I've just been traveling, I want to go home. So you don't interrupt them. And I know that they always would see me be like, but I never could. And oh well, that's I saw plenty of celebrities. The only celebrities I've ever actually met are drag queens.
Oh,
which
nice.
I'm upset with because I love drag.
I've met too few of them. Kelly Mantle is actually a friend. We were in a show together back in Chicago many years ago. I'm trying to think. I worked with Willem, although he wouldn't remember.
That's Willem. That's right. True. I love Willem, and I think Willem only remembers my name because I've met Willem so many times.
Nice. Yeah, I was on a movie that he was in that has never been released. Called Queerty, and I was the like production manager. It was a low budget thing, and at the time he was really trying to push getting more roles as a boy. So he was in boy drag in that movie. Yeah, I think that's it. And then I don't know that many. Well, many years ago, I was driving Uber. I hate to even admit it. And Vicky Vox got into it.
Oh my God, I would lose my shit.
Yeah, that's it. Hang on, honey. What? Do we know any other drag queens? We don't really. Okay, I was asking my husband. I can never remember. Anyway.
Oh my God, yeah, no, that's I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure. I mean, I do. I love drag, but again, actually, Willem was in a couple low budget horror films.
Yes, he was.
Oh.
In my I'm writing this book. I'm editing and writing with a group of people this big book on queer horror, and which is going to come out. Well, I actually don't know when it's going to come out. We have our publishing deal with McFarland, who releases tons of really great movie books. And we're handing our manuscript at the end of this month. And then, who knows when it's come out. But because of that, my eyeballs have been like over, hundreds of movies that have queer content in them. And ticked off Trannies with Knives. That was a movie. And then there was another one.
It took place, I swear, in the South or had zombies.
Yes, and oh gosh, I wish I could, this is terrible that I can't.
I can't remember the name. I remember watching it, but ooh.
I can see the like cover art, but I can't see the name of it. Anyway,
That was
Yep.
so that was fun. All right, so let's talk Asian cinema then, because one thing, as I stated, I will honestly say there's only one American remake that I think was done well. And then there's another American remake that I love, but is also the worst rated movie, I think, in horror. So that's exciting. Yeah.
I can't wait to find out what they are.
So the first one I have behind me is Sadako.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm saying that right. I should say I'm Japanese American and can't speak any Japanese, so I'm just sounding it out.
Well, I'll never correct you, but I think it's Sadako.
Sadako. Oh, that makes sense. That
right?
Okay. That would make sense. Sadako. See, guys, we're learning here. We are learning. And
noted Asian scholar Sean Abley says,
yes. And so we've got Ringu, which Ringu versus Ring. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm almost a completist on the franchise.
Oh,
well, I'm obsessed by it. I just love it. I love the idea. It was. So I love I don't want to say the original. So the thing that everybody, at least in America, thinks is the original is Ringu, the first Japanese feature. But there was actually at least one TV miniseries in Japan made adaptation of the manga before that. Which is a little actually closer to the manga. You know, the films are typically female reporter until we sort of get to the sequels. The original and the book are a male reporter, and that's the made for TV version of it. And but the original, the first one that I saw, I was dating a guy who was obsessed with like Asian media. This was, gosh, I've been with my husband for 17 years and then a boyfriend before that. So this was like 20 or so years ago. And it was back, DVDs were just starting. You could get super illegal DVDs like down in Chinatown that were like CDRs and stuff, you know, and, dubbed videotapes. And so I was watching a lot of stuff like that. And so I saw Ring, the first one, that way. And I was just blown away and just became obsessed with it. Mainly because there's a sort of a tradition in a lot of Asian cinema to have a very serious subject, but then also have a comedy subplot that sort of flows through there. And if we had talked about another film or a couple films that I've seen, Untold Story, I don't know if you've seen either the Untold Story.
No, but I'll have to check that one out.
We can throw that out later. Those are about cannibals. Those are about like people, running restaurants where they're, killing people and serving them up. And it's really, really grim, like grim. And they're based on semi-true stories. But then there's the wacky cop, like, all the cops in the police station, like doing their wacky hijinks in a minute. The thing about Ringu is it didn't have that. It was really just pure horror from end to end. And this is just like so terrible, xenophobic of me, but it felt like a Western movie. It was like sort of Japanese American cinema translated through Japanese filter with all the amazing things of Japanese horror, but sort of framed in a more traditional narrative way. One of the things that I do love about Japanese horror here in the West, we are so obsessed with like, why is it happening? Like we've got it by the end, we got to figure like why, like we need to connect all the dots that's happening. So often in Japanese horror and Asian horror in general, that doesn't matter, right? It's just that it's happening. Like I look at Grudge, Ju-on the Grudge, like it's got a nominal explanation, but it just sort of kind of happens, and they don't really like go do a deep dive into the origin stories that much. So that was another reason. So anyway, I don't know, I'm getting way off track, but so Ringu is amazing. But I will say that the American remake of remakes, I think is like one of the best.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah. Of all horror remakes, I think the American remake is stands alone, and it's really great.
They didn't need a sequel because it goes down after that. I will say yes. So I loved Ringu. It was very interesting when watching them back to back, though. I loved seeing the difference in the color palette. That is very well. Also, and two, the video is shorter in Ringu, which I kind of appreciate because it comes off a little more. Well, it's more creepy. But I do feel that both of the films have really great acting and they are really focused on that story. And so I really enjoy that. But also the one thing I did hate about the remake, you don't need to have like the way they had to add the effects with their facial expressions or like the deaths. That wasn't needed because that's the one thing, a lot of some of these the Asian cinema, I love that they don't rely so much on gore.
Right.
They really want you to get psychologically invested and they want to just get under your skin and really terrify you that way. And then they'll have that slow imagery, I think, that then comes out, I feel sometimes comes out of nowhere because I'm so like deep into the story and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Where here in, I feel like American cinema, it is glossy gore or, some effects that may not be needed. But that being said, yes, I think The Ring out of all of the Asian remakes stands alone because, the score was fantastic. Naomi Watts, where is she? Girl, we miss you.
Right. She was, it's interesting how she sort of disappeared lately, but she was like everywhere for a while.
Yeah, and I know she's doing a lot less, well, or at least less quality. But yeah, Ring was fantastic. And I also don't think it was I think some of the remakes are a mockery. They make a mockery of the original, and I don't think Ring did that with Ringu.
Right. Yeah, it didn't feel like a cash grab. It felt very sort of, I don't know, studied, I guess. And if I'm remembering correctly, didn't the guy who wrote the Ring remake, didn't he write the third Scream? Isn't that who that is? Am I messing that up?
Oh, I'm gonna look into that. I may have missed that. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm saying these words, and here's the thing: I'm gonna do this terrible thing, and I'm gonna look this up whilst we talk because I can't let that stand if I'm wrong. I thought it was Aaron Kruger, Aaron Kruger, writer The Ring. Okay, all credits. I am 100% wrong. Why am I mixing those names up?
Scream 3 is still good, so, but yes. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm right. It was him. He did Scream 3 first in 2000 and then Ring in 2002.
Oh,
he also did Ring 2.
Well, maybe Ring 2, but all right. Well, he's an icon in my book because anything about, well, I'm horror for Scream, and Scream 3 is one that may not be I always say Scream at its worst is still at its best compared to other franchises, in my opinion.
Sure.
And so Scream 3 may not be the best in the series, but it has some of the best characters and elements that I just love. So that's
yeah.
Kudos. That makes me very happy to hear.
I feel like Scream 3 was the one that was made like for and with the fans, if that makes sense. It was the one that, because 2 was the inevitable sequel that Kevin Williamson has said that he had already planned, when he handed in his, and 3 feels, because he didn't write it, it feels like a step removed, but
yeah,
it's like it was made to be fun, if that makes sense. Like
and it was.
Yeah. Scream was fun, but I don't feel like it was made to be fun. I feel like Scream was made to be terrifying and to like change everything. Whereas Scream 3 is just like, if you liked that roller coaster, you're gonna love this one.
I do. Also, because in my head, I can't get over Parker Posey in that film. Like, could you not let her survive? That's the only reason I'm pissed off at that movie. I was like, I would have loved to see her come back just to spar with Gale. I don't know. That would have been.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, in Wes Craven's sort of tradition of casting like indie film actors in his I mean, these were still not studio pictures, I don't think technically at that point, but yeah, I don't know. It's totally fun. I'm on board. My Scream ranking is 1, 2, 3, 5, 4.
Ooh, well, mine is mine is 1, 5. I really loved 5. I couldn't, and I think part of it was the theater experience, and I'll elaborate on that too. But 1, 5, 2, 4, 3. So
4, 3. Okay. Wow, 3 is your last.
It is. It just there. I love it. But I do also think at the time when I saw it in theaters, I was like, oh, this is fun, but wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
So I still enjoyed it. And I think it has some of the best like memeable quotes, or just again, it's the funniest out of the series, honestly.
Sure.
The humor was great. But I was still kind of like, I was expecting a high stakes death, because Randy dying in 2, I really thought we were going to see something in 3. And Cotton Weary, I was like, I'm like, okay, sure. But I would say the reason I did also enjoy 5 was this was my first press screening, and which was not, I mean, it's here in St. Louis, so I can tell you there was 8 people in the theater. So that was it. So I got there first, was like middle row, middle seat. Nobody talked during the film. I was the only one who laughed, and afterwards I'm like, was I not allowed to? I'm enjoying the film, guys. There were some funny moments, but it was a very just to be back in cinemas, because I haven't been to many movies.
Right.
Sadly, here in this state, people don't believe in masks.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think that's part of why I like sitting there and seeing this again. And also, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say a spoiler. I wanted one of 2 things: either the killer to be queer, or the queer person to survive. And I got that because Jasmine Savoy Brown is the moment. I love her in Yellow Jackets. I love her in this. I really enjoyed 5.
I was not ready to enjoy 5, honestly. I just felt like, because 4, I think the things that are great about 5 were missing from 4, which are, I think in 4, the actors were directing themselves, I think, and the plot just strained credulity to me. Whereas 5, like the opening sequence, what is her name? Jenna Ortega? Is she the actress? I mean, the director and the writers made such a great, they made us like, it was back to the beginning for me. Like, I cared about her.
Oh,
she
yeah.
felt natural. It felt scary. It felt like there were stakes there. Like, I empathized with that character. She's such a great little actress. And then the rest of the movie, even though it's like, at this point, Sydney and Gail and Dewey are like Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote. Like, no matter where they go, people are getting killed. And people like, whatever, like, who is inviting these people to parties? I don't understand. But like the moments between Gail and Sydney and Gail and Dewey, I don't know if I want to spoil something if people haven't seen the movie.
If you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry. And I'll put in here, we can talk spoilers, because we've actually done a spoiler review, and we're going to be chatting with Radio Silence eventually, and we're going to talk
this
spoilers.
This is not even a spoiler, it's a tiny one. When Heather Matarazzo came on screen, I literally cried in the theater. I was just like, oh, they're like, they care. Like, they bring her, like, and in a way that was the same as Scream 3, which was like so out of context. Like, why was she in Scream 3? It was so funny, but it just felt like the movie was made with care and reverence for the source material.
Agreed.
Unlike, and again, I want to get back, because there's we can talk about sequels about Ring, because I have a lot of.
Ooh, yes, let's.
But there's another franchise maybe we can talk about later that I feel like that was not done, and I think it shows. But I don't want to get into that.
I can't.
I mean, we can get into
that.
it later, but I feel like we should get back to the subject.
Well, honestly, I think I'm already going to title this like this is a hodgepodge episode, and it's fun because honestly, I think great things about podcasts is you can go off script, have fun. That's why we're here to chat.
Right.
But
Nobody's our boss. But so,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and so sequels for Ring. So it's interesting that the American sequel, Ring 2, was not as successful, and I think Rings with an S also not as successful. But if in the Japanese version there was Ringu or Ring, they actually just called it Ring, as I think we're the ones that put the U on the end.
I did not know that.
Then there was a sequel to that was based on the sequel manga, and it was called Rasen or Spiral. And that's the one where you find out that it's a virus, like the haunting is actually a virus that is, I mean, curable on some level.
Which was interesting.
People, yeah. And that sequel is true to the manga in that Sadako is either transgender or intersexed.
Yes, I did see that.
Right, which is not true of the original. And so Spiral was not successful, so they quickly made Ring 2 with some of the same cast playing the same characters. They basically released them within the same year. And Ring 2 is then the one that the rest of the franchise hangs off of, where Sadako is not transgender or intersexed. And so you've got, like Ring 2, Ring 0, Birthday, all those sequels. And then you have Spiral, and then Sadako 3D and Sadako 3D 2 are supposedly in that timeline. So
oh wow, that's
right. But Sadako may or may not be. So I've been writing about these movies again for this big gay queer horror book, Queer Horror Film Guide, coming to you soon, hopefully in 2022. So I think that the transgender intersex timeline travels to those movies, but it's not really mentioned in either of them. And they're both super derivative. They're just like, now Sadako is like Freddy Krueger, like just comes back randomly. And but then there's the Korean version. So the Japanese version was made, and then a Korean version was made, which is almost scene for scene the same as the original Japanese version, but it also is true to the manga. And then in the Korean version, she is intersexed or transgender. And there was no sequel to that. So it's a whole web. And then the American version, Samara, I can't.
Samara. Oh yeah, Samara.
Who's now saying the name wrong? Played by what's her name from?
Dave is it Dave Chase?
Yeah.
I can't say my A's today, I guess. Yeah. Her, because she was the voice of Lilo in Lilo and Stitch. Yeah. That's how I remember.
Got a good little run of it. And she's not in any of those sequels. It's just interesting. I don't know. I'm a sucker. Like I am of an age where when DVDs started to be like when the format came about, I was right there. Like I was buying every horror. There was a time when you could own every horror DVD, and I literally just liquidated my collection, but I had thousands of them. And so I was obsessed with like all those Dimension direct-to-video sequels to movies, like Dracula 3000. And
okay, those were fun.
Yeah. So I love cheap sequels. Like I've watched every Hellraiser and like eat them up with a spoon. I love it.
Oh, I don't know about a Hellraisers. Those sequels after 4, I just was like, guys, no. And then when they recast Pinhead, I was like, bye. Nope, you're not getting any of my time.
Well, that one is also, do you know the whole story about Fantastic Four, like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie? Right? Like
no one has seen.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's terrible. And fun. But that's that Hellraiser that we're talking about with the new Pinhead. They had to make one really quickly to keep the rights to the franchise. So they literally just like whipped one out. but like I think 5 and 6, one of those is Hell World, and the other one is Deader, Hellraiser Deader, and then Hellraiser
Yes.
Hell World. See, those were scripts that weren't Hellraiser scripts that they bought and made into Hellraiser scripts. So that's why those sort of feel like they're not part of the thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's my, that's my scholarship on The Ring. I would encourage people to check it. I don't love the Korean version. I love that it exists. Like I love like, cross-cultural takes on these properties, but sadly the Korean one is so just like the Japanese one. It really, there's very little reason to
you could watch one or the other, it sounds
right?
like,
yeah,
which is if you're going to make a remake, you got to add something to it. I'm not saying you need to change the story completely, or but that kind of shocks me for Korea, or South Korea, because they have so many good just horror properties.
yeah.
Like I'm kind of shocked that they would just do almost a shot for shot, but I've not seen that, but now it sounds like it probably won't.
Right.
Well, next let's talk about The Grudge.
Okay.
I hated the American remake. I'm just going to be flat out, and I remember seeing it in cinemas, laughing the entire time I was watching it, which I don't think I was supposed to, because after seeing it and hearing everyone like, "Oh, it's the scariest thing ever," go, huh? I was like, that was pure. I mean, I don't think it meant to be camp, and I don't know. It came across. I love Sam Raimi, I really do, but I truly was thinking I was going to see a terrifying film, and I laughed at almost every.
I love Sarah Michelle too.
I did too. Like I was like, I was so ready for it.
Yeah.
And it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
It got a sequel to where she was just like, I don't really want to be in it though. I'm like,
push out the window, right?
right. Whereas I think Ju-on, yeah. That's to me, that again, with the Japanese originals, they really go for the horror element, and it wasn't about, well, I love Sam Raimi and I know he does good with gore and all of that, so I expected it, but I was like, again, I think that's the one scene I can remember is the dude missing his jaw.
Yeah. I think my husband and I think it was one of we'd already met. We weren't living in the same city. We were dating long distance, and I went to visit him in Dallas. And I think that was our first weekend together that we saw Ju-on in an art theater there. And he was totally hooked. And I remember seeing that the first one. This is the thing I was talking about. Like, there's a nominal explanation for what's going on, but not really. And the first two movies, because I love the sequel too, the Japanese sequel too, they fit together perfectly, like two puzzle pieces. And yeah, I just thought like with the American versions, I thought the first one was okay, but the sequel, where literally they just push Sarah Michelle Gellar out a window, like just to get rid of her to move on to the other characters. I don't know. That felt like a money grab to me. Like that, because The Ring was so successful. So like, okay, let's go through this catalog of a J horror that we've got and see what we can get our hands on. And that was.
I would say The Ring remake is what really kicked off all those, eventual remakes that we would see of J horror. And to be honest, I don't think many have been as successful as The Ring.
Right. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Like there was the I'm forgetting all the names, but was it Pulse? Is that the one where you get
Kristen Bell was in that one, in that remake. That was
Dark Water, not great. I don't know if you saw Dark Water.
Yeah, that had
Jennifer Connelly?
She's an Academy Award winning actress. Yeah. And honestly, I was just like, why? What made you think this was a great film?
Yeah. And I think honestly, the problem with some of these remakes is that, again, Western sort of traditional narrative demands that we have more explanation than is needed. And there's a movie called Uzumaki. Have you seen Uzumaki?
No.
Japanese horror film. It is a the premise is like this town becomes obsessed with spirals, and like people turn into snails with a spiral shell, and they have, they become possessed with that like spiral eyes, and their body's twisted. There's no real explanation to it. It just starts happening.
It sounds like a fun film.
Check it out, Uzumaki. It's one of my absolute favorites. Now, it hasn't been remade, thank God. Because if that movie was remade, it would be like, somebody would open a book and it would
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, here we are on a camping trip. I'm reading from this book that I shouldn't read from, and suddenly everybody's turning into snail shells. Like, it would just be like, thumbs down.
Yeah. I think it's the worst rated film, and that's One Missed Call.
Oh, right, yeah.
I know it's bad. I know it's like, it is pure shit, the remake, but I absolutely love it. I don't know why, because there's not much to it.
Yeah. There's just one missed call. Don't miss that call.
It's just, I don't know. I love it. It's so terrible because the original, again, it was just creepy. Again, the Japanese really know how to do certain scenes that just, I think, are meant to really get under your skin in a way that lingers. And I feel like here with Western cinema, it's more the shock.
Yeah.
We don't, it's like, bam, and then we're going to move on. Whereas they're like, no, we're just going to come on.
Well, especially Japanese storytelling, it's a country that is much older than ours.
Yeah.
And the grand tradition of ghost stories, like that is like their, at which, Japanese storytellers excel. And so if you look at the horror industry there, most of the stuff that really like breaks out and becomes, their big franchises, etc., are basically ghost stories. And so that's not gore. That's not people getting their heads chopped off. That's just like creepy and like possession and things like that. Which as I get older, I prefer, honestly. I mean, I'm a Tom Savini kid. I've been reading Fangoria since issue number 1. And, I came of age with, my, Dawn of the Dead, my favorite horror movie of all time, and all that stuff. But of late, I really I don't care about people getting their heads chopped off. I'm more like, the psychological aspect of it. I mean, there's some exceptions, like the Fear Street movies I thought were super fun. And
I loved those.
Gory in the perfect way, but also like, had something to say. But
I remember those books. I mean, I also felt old watching it when I saw them in the mall and I saw a B. Dalton bookstore. I'm like,
right.
That hit me a little too hard. I was like, oh.
The times I spent in a B. Dalton bookstore, just like reading books and not buying them, using it as my library. Yeah. Before you were allowed to do that, like that was before Barnes and Noble, where they were all like, please come in and read books. We don't care. Like B. Dalton was like, are you going to buy that? Like,
yes.
That's funny. So I'm interested in your opinion. I think I know it. I think I know what it is.
Okay.
On Audition, because you mentioned Audition when we were chatting.
I love Audition, though. I do, because that was a shock to the system. Now, I think a post, Me Too era, I don't think that would work, that film. But I would say it was made very well. I thought the story flowed, but it was definitely, I forgot who I was talking with, but they're like, it's almost a romantic comedy with a killer twist at the end. I was like, oh yeah, that is valid. But yeah, I don't think the movie would work now. And I completely understand that. But at the time when I watched it, it was, when I watched it, I think it was on VHS when I watched it.
Wow, that was 100 years ago.
Yep.
I was not a fan. I haven't watched it again since I watched it the first time. And I think that I didn't love it because I was expecting, it's a super slow boil, right?
Yes,
I mean, it's all about
absolutely.
It's the last scene. That's it. And so I was just like, ready. And of course, the pre-press about it was like the most shocking film you will have seen in the year. It was just like
they did. They over.
Yeah. And so
oversold that.
I think maybe, I don't know, I should take another. It's so hard to rewatch movies right now because there's so much to see, and like to rewatch a movie means you're not watching something new. But
True.
I feel like maybe it deserves another.
I can't say it's one that I've, rewatched on multiple occasions. I think total I've probably only seen it maybe 3 or 4 times. But again, it's like one I could watch every 5-6 years kind of thing. I still enjoy it. I love the slow burn. I think the script was great. And that's kind of what continually had me hooked, because I did like that interaction. And I still do feel that payoff at the end was just, to me, so good. But I totally get why people don't like it, because it is like, I could easily tell you though, the first time, as much as I loved it, I'm like checking my pulse. Yeah, I'm still alive. So let's pick up the pace,
Somebody died.
I totally get why some aren't a fan. It totally makes sense, because some movies, they can rely on the ending being its savior. And I guess that, to me, that's one of those. But I easily know that people are, no, the ending wasn't even worth it. I'm like, all right, well, I can't convince you, but I still enjoy it. But I will tell people to watch it. But I've had feedback. It's almost as bad as when I recommended at Hollywood Video people to watch Royal Tenenbaums. I love that film, but everyone would come back and they're like, I fucking hate this, or this was terrible. Why'd you recommend it? I go, oh yeah, it's probably too smart for you to get. I get it. Okay.
It's also a movie filled with terrible people. Like, right? Like, it's like, yeah. No, they're filmmakers. There's certain filmmakers that you either like, you're all in, even if it's terrible, you just want to spend time with the people that they've created. Yes. And then other people, if it's not their taste, like I'm trying to think of who I would defend. Like, I would defend the Absolutely Fabulous movie, and a lot of people didn't like the Ab Fab movie, but I will defend it. I think it was not popular, and later seasons of that show were not as, but I just love spending time with those characters. I would I'd watch anything with them.
I'm kind of shocked. Now, I didn't watch the later series, but I did like the movie.
It went so dark in a sense, like Safi, like going to prison, and like, yeah. I mean, I'm on board.
Yeah,
she should write a horror movie. Jennifer Saunders. Oh my gosh, that would be great.
Ooh, that would be twisted.
Yeah. I wish they would do the thing that they sort of did here in the United States occasionally, which is they do like the Halloween standalone episode of Absolutely Fabulous, where like people could die and stuff, but it doesn't matter because it's just sort of like a
standalone. Oh my God, that would be, because she's problematic. But prior, I mean, Roseanne probably did. Roseanne and The Simpsons have some of the best standalone Halloween episodes out there. I think I think Modern Family had a fun one, but I mean, they never died. That was more about, we love Halloween and we're going to go all out, but we don't. Oh wait, Facts of Life did one, and I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, they did. Back in when I was, I write for Fangoria in various places, and I'm also a playwright and a screenwriter. And there was a time when I was pursuing episodic TV writing and doing a bit of it. And, you had to have your specs, right? And so I wrote a spec that was Drew Carey. This tells you how long ago it was. The Drew Carey Show, but Night of the Living Dead. But it all took place in the Drew Carey offices, and they were all zombies. And I was quite proud of that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it got me nowhere, by the way. It got me my Buffy spec got me a lot of work. Which, by the way, my Buffy spec had gay characters in it before Buffy had gay characters in it. So I'll take credit for that. Yeah, silly.
No, that's I can't believe they didn't do that in Drew Carey. I mean, they did. I remember they had one episode that was just, it was so, oh my gosh. And this was right after I'd actually seen what is an iconic drag film, which is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And it was the Rocky Horror versus Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And they had this huge, big dance number at the end. It's one of my favorite episodes.
I've forgotten about that. Man.
So I'm like, I can't believe they didn't do a Night of the Living Dead. That would have been fabulous. It would have been right up.
Yeah. Opportunity missed.
Absolutely. So speaking of your writing, let's talk about your recent article in Fangoria, where I got introduced to bestdeaths.com.
Yes, I'm gonna find the page right now. This Jason, the creative director, like did this beautiful layout of these. So if people don't know what, I mean, this is just like so gorgeous. So bestdeaths.com. I found this website because I wrote a short film for these producers that made, there's a movie called Camp Days that came out a decade or more ago that was just sort of a low budget, like people trapped at a slasher summer camp that is out of time. Like the car breaks down and they end up at the slasher camp and they don't realize it's 1985 now. Kind of thing. It's actually kind of fun. And I'd sort of gotten to know them. And so I wrote a short for them. And so I was looking at their content, and they had these companies called Scream Kings and Dead Guys Cinema. And Dead Guys Cinema was basically just short films that set up two guys strangling each other, like, and very homoerotic or actually gay. It was always like younger guys, shirtless, hairless, shirtless guys that had an argument and now they're strangling. And the guy who ran this, these sites, then eventually just moved into that content only. And they started shooting like shorts based on that. And that became this website called Best Deaths, which now is, if you are a dude who enjoys watching younger guys murdering each other, this website is for you. And it's clip after clip after clip. And some of the movies, like some of the features that they've done years before have been cut up into scenes. Literally, like I'll read you in my article. The names of the scenes are things like,
so good. Oh my gosh.
Tough outlaw blasted in gut, then strangled by cowboy. Thomas massacres his roommates for their high collar shirts. And I have to tell you, I like titles that give you what you're going to get, like Spy Kids. You know what I mean? You know what you're getting if the movie is Spy. The incredibly strange creatures who suddenly stop living, became mixed up zombies. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting if Thomas is massacring his roommates for their high collared shirts. And so I have to ask you, so what was your reaction when you guys like checked it out based on the
I couldn't believe. So I think my favorite thing is reading about how they actually take so much care into what they shoot. It's not, but also I love that you could basically do you can customize the death scene you want to see. And I was like, get the hell out of here. And then like, you can choose which models. And these actors, like reading about them, like this isn't something that is like sleazy. I don't find this sleazy or anything like that. It's definitely homoerotic, but they truly take care and consideration. But I love the fact that it's going to cater to, if you want to pay that money, you are going to get a scene that you want. You could, I love the fact that choose the actors, give them details of what you want to see in it, maybe even help with the title. I'm like, this is bonkers.
Yeah, it's nuts. So if it hasn't become clear that whoever's watching this, what this website eventually morphed into was a made to order fake stuff, gay stuff film website. And so you can choose how people die. You can choose which models possibly, or you don't have to, you can just let them do it. And you pay a certain amount of money and they'll make this video for you. And then after you get it for a while, then they eventually put them all on the website. So you can also buy a membership to the website and just enjoy. You can just shop. You don't have to, create. You can just like choose something off the shelves. And it is so like specific. And I have to give props to my editor, Phil Nobile at Fangoria, for letting me like write this article, because it is it's horror. It's definitely horror.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's so like I think the managing editor reached out to me at one point. She's like, so explain this again. like I just don't have any like people just don't have any like context upon which to like figure out what this is all about. But it's, you know, it's run by this really nice guy. It's now run by so the original people have moved on, and it's run by this guy, Victor Alfaro, I think I'm getting his name right, out of Mexico, and which kind of adds to the sleaze factor. Right. And you know, where life is cheap. And yeah, and it's just been motoring on sort of under the radar. And because, well, I have to say, the film that I wrote originally for the original people, alternately called Rope Burn or The Good Rope, is on this website somewhere, not with my name on it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm just so like stunned by it. But then talking to the guy, talking to Victor, then talking to these other filmmakers, Pete Jasalone is one he's quoted in the article, and they're so like, they have no shame. They have none about it.
I love it.
Right. And so I thought, yeah, I mean, if they don't have any shame about it, like, should I? Like, should we? So yeah, I mean,
we don't kink shame. If that's your thing, go to this website. And also, just in general, maybe just check it out, because I was just blown away. I was so shocked, but I was just like, I could see people enjoying this, and but I was laughing and not at it, because I just found that I think they also kind of embrace like those titles, like you said, when they get so specific, it's so hilarious. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. And we love Phil here, and he's the one who told us about this article. And I think I had already been following you on social media and stuff. And when Phil's like, just reach out, I'm like, all right. And oh my, I mean, this is something to read, but then definitely to everyone, please. If I would say of age, but it's I don't even think, I'm pretty sure there's not nudity or anything like that. This is
I think there's some actual nudity. There's like R-rated nudity.
Yeah, but not like, it's not like X-rated. This is like very, you know, so
there's no porno.
Yeah, this is actually, that's what I that's why I don't think it's as sleazy. This is, you know, it's kind of meant to, you know, embrace that fantasy. Have you ever wanted to kill somebody?
Right.
Or see someone die.
Right. It's firmly in kink. It feels like it's not kink, but it's firmly like kink. And you know, I have to do a shout out there. One of the reasons why I thought that it would be okay to like pitch this to Phil is Vanessa, I want to say Guerrero. Oh gosh.
Vanessa Guerrero.
Yeah. She wrote an article when Fango came back under the current owners. Mm-hmm. We both had articles in that issue, and hers was about being a person who is, her kink being like violent horror movies, like violent scenarios and things like that. And I just thought it was such a great article, and that is one of the things that I kept in my head when I came across this and thought, well, I mean, it sort of falls into the same category.
It's a good, I mean, honestly, it's a good read. And I will fully be honest, is that it's been a very long time since I have gotten back into Fangoria. I think the Halloween Kills is, you know, us being a horror website, I subscribed to the online newsletter and all that, so I get all that. And then I was like, you know what, I really should just go ahead and get a subscription. And it's so worth it, because I will also say what you get in the mail versus there. Yes, it's great. Again, I'm going to show this again. It's great when you can go to Barnes and Noble and pick it up. But when you get this in the mail, this is like I will say the packaging and everything is like, do not bend, all of this. There's so much care and consideration, and the cover. Yeah. Oh my God.
So Jason did this cover too for the Halloween Kills. I have an interview with Don Mancini in this issue, but like, look at that. It is
I want to
gorgeous.
talk about that because I am super jealous about that. And how was it just to interview Don Mancini?
Oh, we can talk about it, but I'll say
I
about
would have
the
lost my shit.
button on this. It's hard to tell just here, but these are like perfect bound. They feel like books. Like the
Yes.
quality, it is not cheap. It's not cheap. I'm not gonna lie. But and it's quarterly. But I mean,
The
what you get
glossy,
in here,
it's oh
well, high quality paper. God, I sound like I'm a QVC. But
yes.
it is definitely, these are collector's items. These are, I've collected every Fangoria, but these are like legit legacy publications. So I could not be prouder to be.
There I know that one and the new Scream one, the cup, like these were selling for like $200 on eBay. And I couldn't believe it. Where I'm like, guys, the subscription is so much cheaper. What the hell?
And you get 4 of them.
Yes. I was just so like, I was like, trust me, the magazine would love your subscription and you would be saving yourself.
Yeah. Well, and also you'd be like, it's funny. I like I said, I've been reading Fangoria since issue number 1, and people probably get tired of my sort of emotional attachment to this magazine. But I grew up and I've told the story a million times, but I grew up as a gay kid in Montana, and and I was actually okay with that. I knew that I just had to wait to get out. I just had to wait to get to a city. I would be fine. But I was also a horror fan, and that felt so weird to me to be gay and a horror fan, because what I knew of gay people, horror seemed so unseemly. Like, ooh, of course, that's ridiculous, right? But Fangoria was like my lifeline from issue number 1. And so I have supported it. I mean, I started writing for them in 2009, and it's been sort of sporadic since then for the website and the magazine. But I've been there since issue number 1 because it was my lifeline in a small town. It was the first horror magazine to go on the books with gay stuff, with Clive Barker when he came out, and the editor writing an editorial about that, saying it's great that he's gay and talented, and the current, iteration, they're so cool about all of the queer stuff. Yes. So for me, it is, I don't want to say it's like I support Lady Gaga, even though I don't love every album, because she is such an ally, and she's also a member of our community, that I feel like she's earned my $17 for her album, right? And I feel like Fangoria, better than all Gaga albums, but I feel like Fangoria deserves queer support because of all that they're doing for us, and like allowing me to put this article in this issue. I mean, who's doing that? Well, in the history of horror, what is credited as the first horror movie, Nosferatu, was directed by a gay man. A lot of people don't know that.
I did not know that.
F.W. Murnau. We have been connected to horror since the beginning of horror movies. So, yeah, where it is past due as our presence in the
and some of the best franchises were created by queer men. So. Or written. I mean, got to look at Scream. You got to look at Hellraiser, Chucky. I mean,
Final Destination, Jeffrey Reddick.
Yeah, oh my God. And we spoke with Jeffrey Reddick. That's right. He called George Glory Hole George. I can't believe I forgot that. He was a true delight. Yeah. And also, as everyone jokes, but it's true, I don't drive behind a log truck ever. Ever. So, but
I love Jeffrey. Jeffrey and I, we live pretty close to each other, actually, and there was a chunk of time where we would see each other like 3 or 4 times a week, because we both wrote at the same Starbucks, the big gay Starbucks in Hollywood or West Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find this place.
Jeffrey, I met Jeffrey. I've written and directed a total of 1 low budget movie, and Jeffrey was at the screening. A friend who's I worked on a movie called 9 Lives, and the director of that I believe he's the one who brought Jeffrey to the screening of Socket. So yeah, I've known Jeffrey forever. He is a great guy.
He's hilarious. Wait, 9 Lives. Is that the one with Paris Hilton?
No, I mean, there is one,
okay.
But there was like 14 movies that came out with the title 9 Lives that year. Ours was just a drama. It was the first feature I produced many, many years ago. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you. This was so much fun. Sitting here just getting to shoot the shit with you, talk about your work, talk about Asian horror, talk about I mean, we talked everything, honestly.
Sure.
And it was a true delight. I will put all the info down below. I really want people to go see Beth. Go to that website, bestdeaths.com.
Yeah.
Go pick up the latest Fangoria, because seriously. And yeah, just thanks for joining. Actually, one final question. Do you have anything you'd like? What's coming up for you?
What is coming up? Well, so I'm working on what is currently titled the Queer Horror Film Guide. I am editing that with a friend, Tyler Dupe, who is also works for Wicked Horror. And we have a group of writers that are writing that, and that is going to be like a big, like encyclopedia tome of every film that we can find that has a queer element in it in horror. We have a list of like 900 films, if you can believe that. And
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. I don't know if we're going to get to all 900, but it's definitely, we're over 700 right now. And that's due, the manuscript is due the end of this month, February. So it'll be, within the next year, I hope that will come out. And that's really where I'm at right now, that my head's down doing that. I have another article that I wrote for Fangoria. But we've just handed those in, and you never know, like sometimes things get up, stuff like that. So fingers crossed it's going to be in the next one. And yeah, I just, I'm basically sort of leaning into horror journalism these days, kind of more than I have in the past, because I just love it so much. So yeah,
I can't wait to I will buy that book, by the way. It is very reminiscent of when I worked at Hollywood Video. They did every store had a movie encyclopedia, and this thing was like, I mean, massive, to where not only did it give like synopsis of all the films, but then it had an awards section. And so it would like tell you the Academy Awards it won, nominated. It broke it, like the way this encyclopedia worked was just, you could look up an actor and it would tell you all the films they're in. Then you could go look at this thing was massive, and I wish I would have stole that before I left.
Was that the Video Hound that you're talking about? Was that the Video Hound encyclopedia?
I think so.
That was a pretty big one. I'm trying to remember the other ones.
It was like
Leonard Maltin, has of course had a million of them that have come out.
Yeah, this I mean, this was like a couple thousand pages. I mean, this thing was massive.
This is going to be pretty big. It's going to be sort of that, but a little bit more personal. So there's 8 writers like myself and so we're sort of synopsizing the films, taking a look at what's gay in the movie, but also frequently just sort of, I don't want to say reviewing it, but maybe semi-reviewing it, letting people know if they should see it or not, that kind of thing. So yeah, so it's going to be a little, I call it an encyclopedia, but it's a little less dry than a regular encyclopedia, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, it actually sounds like it's going to be a good read. I mean, nobody wants to sit and read an encyclopedia from front to back. This sounds like this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's also going to be a great bathroom read. Like, it's going to be the perfect book to put in your bathroom and like read a couple entries.
I'm really excited because also that means there are clearly, I have not seen all these films, and so that's what's exciting. That's a lot of films. Wow, I didn't know we were.
Here's the thing. Like, if you pick every film that has a queer character in it, or like a queer subplot or stuff, not just stuff that's like right up front, but that's sort of percolating in the background, there's a lot more than you'd think. And also, in the last 10 years, it's really exploded. Like it's, and it's a lot of tokenization. It's a lot of like dropping a gay character in there to get killed. But, that's important to note for us. So yeah, it is, I'll say I'm like eyeballs deep in it. Literally, when we're done with this, I'm going to go back to writing it for the rest of the day until we go see Jackass tonight. And then tomorrow.
So jealous.
Yeah.
I need to go see that. Maybe I'll go see that tomorrow. It looks good. It looks funny. I love a good silly.
I love Jack. I couldn't. My husband and I just like are so enamored of that franchise. I cannot love it more. It's like the greatest love story ever told between all those guys. Like it is just one of my favorite things ever.
I mean, I chuckled. Somebody had shown the progression of Rotten Tomatoes of Jackass, and the ratings have only, like, critics' response has only gone up. And I'm like, good, because it's a great, I mean, come on. Yeah. But, well, with that, I will say thank you again. And I'll put all the information below. And also, I will get that shirt link from you, and I'll put that below, because that is
Castello Tagliapietra.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I can't, I'm going to probably buy some shit today, guys. And with that, I will just say thank you and goodbye.
All right. Later.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.